What's up guys, it's me Detuned Paper coming at you live from my headquarters. And in this envelope here we have, it's upside down, Detuned World. This game was the namesake series of this channel. And don't think I've forgotten about it, the Detuned World is still very near and dear to me. What we're doing today is a retrospective on this game, because believe it or not, this came out in 2021, which was 4 years ago. Now what happens in this game is there's a sort of military experiment going on with an alternate world, snatching up citizens to use as test subjects. So here is the Detuned World itself. The map itself really gives you the impression that this is a world that you're going to explore. The exploration was entirely open world, and after you started out here at Settlement 1, you could go to any location in any order. As we'll get into, this game doesn't have a very defined difficulty curve. So here is that Settlement 1 that I just mentioned. You have a drawing. This one I'm not a big fan of, but some of them are pretty cool. The locations had names and danger levels. The danger level was another cool feature because you could look at that immediately and know if you're screwed. Of course, monsters. And then there's also NPCs. And a fun fact about the NPCs, they all have stats, so you can kill them. But this guy's chill, he's just giving you some bait. Here we run into a problem with this game though. The NPC tells you a newcomer, I remember my first day in here. The people you're interacting with are either gonna be from that military we talked about, or they're gonna also be civilians getting tested on just like you. So why would this NPC just tell you something so cryptic? And this will happen with other NPCs later on. So you'll notice that some pages have radio broadcasts, and that's how you'll figure out the lore of the Detuned World. Also, the radio broadcasts correspond to different events and locations in the map, so it's as if the radio broadcast happened at the location nearby. And I think that's a pretty cool way to flesh out the game. One thing I'll point out is the creature design for this game was pretty cool. So here's a quirk to point out. I noticed after I released this game that this page was constructed wrong. There's this creature, Scrapod AG. In aggressive creatures, you have to fight before moving on to anything else in the level. So you fight this Scrapod, defeat it, and then once you can talk to the NPC, he tells you, that tower has to be man-made. Mind slaying that beast so I can look closer, and your quest is to defeat one Scrapod. But of course, you just did defeat one Scrapod, so all it would mean is leaving the page, coming back, and then defeating one, which is definitely not what's supposed to be going on in this scene. Anyway, though, that is how you get the item to read those radio broadcasts. And this is a cool detail because this guy's fascinated by the radio tower, and he has such an item. Over here at the Settlement 2 location, there's some people that got fused together while they were being transported to the Detuned World. I should mention in this game, the way that the military is catching people is kind of ridiculous. They develop these portal landmine technologies that just implode in on themselves. So like someone steps on them in a secluded area and then it just transports them to the Detuned World. Why it wouldn't be done in a more regulated way, I don't know. You'll have to ask my 16-year-old self. But either way, I think that's a funny little quest. Malbear right here, he also appears in Stranded with Creatures. Make of that what you will. So the basic progression of the levels, you travel around, you tame as many strong monsters as you can, you have to fight certain military members, you can complete quests for the other test subjects, all while gathering together the radio broadcasts, although there's only 4 of them, so it's not really time for a huge mystery to feel like it's unfolding, and it's all leading towards one huge boss fight. So you'll cross from the continent part of the map to that island in the top left, and you'll meet this military sailor guy, he'll try to defeat you, of course, and then this is when you're really in the military's territory. It's like a tongue twister. Earlier I mentioned that some of the locations in this game are super charming. This is definitely one of them, and this one, Cape 2. I feel like the art style from this time of my life was very atmospheric. I think if anything still holds up about Detuned World, it's kind of the style. You're going towards that final boss, and it is the chairman of this project. Of course, he tells you that because the dialogue that NPCs have is like limited to 2 sentences at most. And he says, I'm the chairman of this project, the Detuned World, prepared to be executed for trespassing. He's not really meaningfully built up in any way as the final antagonist. Your main motivation would just be that you're pissed because you ended up in this experiment and now you're going to defeat him. That is after you get past Gardard, this wall-like creature with 45 defense. But if you defeat him, you get this item, which if you can see it at all from up there, it's one of those portal mines and you step on it and you can get back to the real world. Nobody would know that if I didn't mention it in a YouTube video because it's not included on the items page. since it is a secret item. And what that really means is that I just added it in because I wanted there to be some sort of resolution to the game. That's probably Detuned World's biggest defense. I still adore this game, and there's a reason that it's the only one I've kept from the past. So after you defeat that final boss, there's this multi-cup feature. There's different tiers for creatures based on their stat total. Victories can cause new monsters to spawn in certain locations. This creature here, Raptor, is absolutely broken, not to be confused with Raptor from Stranded with Creatures. Oh, and there's Protal from the cover. I did go over this in the video I made at the time covering Detuned World, but the battle system's just not very fun in this game. It has the same attack, defense, and speed system, which if you aren't familiar with my games, it's a way to create kind of simple turn-based combat. But while the system is simple, I didn't use multiples of 5 for the creature's stats, which I later realized makes it just a lot easier. Who wants to do that when immersion's the goal? So that's a bit of a problem, and also it's just so simple because the creatures don't have any power system or special abilities, and there's really no strategy involved other than try to have the highest attack and the highest speed possible. Although I will say, I think that the newer iteration of this same system, which appears in Stranded with Creatures, really offers simplicity along with strategy. That pretty much covers everything I wanted to say. So let me know, have you played Detuned World? What did you think of the experience? And if you haven't and you want to check it out, I have a link to it in the description below. As we talked about, it's not my best work. I guess my final verdict is that Detuned World thrives on its style and its atmosphere, and then falls flat in almost every other department, but I still love it because it's Detuned World. If anything, it just makes me want to correct these problems in a definitive version. So that's going to do it for today. This is Detuned Paper, live from my headquarters, signing out.